The South Carolina Department of Education is ending a partnership with the South Carolina Association of School Libraries amid some controversy in schools. A state superintendent of education, Ellen Weaver, sent a letter to SEASL president, and she expressed some concerns about banning books in school libraries. The association calls banned books in schools an advocacy issue. The American Library Association says it defends intellectual freedom and wants to help librarians. In the letter Weaver sent, she said in part, quote, "Parents are entirely justified in seeking to ensure educational materials presented to their children are age appropriate and are aligned with the overall purpose of South Carolina's instructional program and standards." She goes on to say calling these efforts bans or censorship creates a, quote, "hostile environment and does not serve the needs of students." The SEASL responded, asking for a face-to-face meeting with Weaver, saying in part, quote, "As an organization that represents over 1,000 school librarians statewide, the SEASL believes parents have the right to raise concerns and ask questions of their children's educators. Librarians honor the concerns and ideas of eager, engaged parents to foster positive relationships with all educational stakeholders." And you could read more about that and more of those statements at foxcarolina.com.